Okay, so I am a huge skeptic. I would not say I believe in ghosts, but last night, early in the morning, I had a very strange experience. Brief background, I live in a retirement community. I'm in my 20s, but the place I got was one I could afford. The last couple of people who have lived there have all died, and the realtor guaranteed they died outside the home. Okay. At 3 a.m., my bedside lamps started flickering on and off. They both had switches by the base of the bulb, and they were both off. I have no clue how that could have happened, but I chalked it up to an old house. Also, just had a ton of new electrical work done, so not too crazy. A couple of minutes later, the radio on my alarm clock starts playing. Again, strange, but I figured same as before. When I woke up for work, I was pulling out of my garage and saw my neighbor in her driveway, just standing there in a bed gown type outfit. I do a double take and there's no one there. I stared at the empty driveway for a good minute. I leave and have been thinking about this all morning. Convince me this is all in my head. If you think otherwise, tell me how to be chill with the ghost. Thank you. After reading the comments, I have temporarily concluded that my electrical work was most likely to blame for the 3 a.m. light show and music. Waking up at 3 a.m. led me to sleep less, which led me to think I saw someone in my neighbor's driveway in the morning. When I got home from work today, I realized my power actually did shut off that night, and when I got home, all my clocks were late by an hour or an hour and a half, which meant I lost power for about an hour and a half sometime today, most likely when all my lights and alarms were acting up. Since this post got way more attention than I thought, I also followed up with my neighbors after work. I mentioned the lights. They said the houses are old, and that I thought I saw one of them in the driveway this morning. They were both asleep at that time as usual. But as I said, I was likely tired and a little frazzled from the odd night and imagined I saw someone. I'll make another post edit in a week or two, depending on the caliber of stuff I experience in my new place. Thanks for all your insights and comments. I have enjoyed this stuff for a while, but this is my first time posting. You guys are tight. Until recently, I didn't believe in spirits, ghosts, etc. I'd experienced a few things in the past, but nothing that I couldn't write off as having some sort of rational explanation. A few months ago, my husband and I moved into a rental property. We're waiting for a house we bought to be built. At first, things were fine. The rental house has 3 floors, and it's probably about 120 years old. The top floor did have a creepy feeling about it, but I just put that down to it being dark and cramped up there. After a while, we noticed little things, items would go missing and then suddenly drop onto the floor from somewhere. The keychain on the front door keys would start swinging around on its own. Things started to get a little more serious a couple of weeks ago. A door which was out of its frame was thrown across a small room, hitting my husband on the head and destroying a PC monitor. Later that day, the dog wouldn't stop barking at a wall in an empty bedroom. That bedroom is next to the room where the door was thrown. We have French doors on the ground floor. They're immediately next to my desk. We're still working from home. This morning, the doors were shaking really loudly for a few seconds. All the rest of the day, we've been hearing things dropping and being thrown about the house. But when I go look, there's nothing there. My husband said that earlier today he saw a male head poking around a door frame watching him. We have direct contact with the owner. We know that although she planned to live in his house and clearly spent quite a bit of money refurbishing it, she moved out a month after a month, supposedly to move in with her boyfriend. There were tenants living here before us. Apparently they left after 4 months. Those short stays could be a coincidence or not, I don't know. Any suggestions on how to deal with this would be appreciated. So, this is my first post here. I should preface this post by saying that although I love all things paranormal, I am an extreme skeptic. However, this experience may have changed my mind. In my final year of my university degree, my classmates and I were attending something called Fall Field Camp. Basically, it is a 4 to 5 day field course where we do a lot of outdoor field work and put into practice the skills we've learned throughout the degree. We were staying with a family that owned a farm and numerous properties out in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. We were divided into groups, and each group was staying at one of the farmhouses the family owned in all various states of disrepair. When my group arrived at our farmhouse, there were immediate jokes of it being haunted. The place looked like something right out of a horror film. It almost looked abandoned. We went inside and started touring the old farmhouse, which had ancient rusted metal farm tools hanging on the walls and old wooden floor that creaked beneath our feet. It was a very eerie place. After the tour and more jokes about haunted dwelling, everyone began to settle in for the night. Bedrooms were cleaned and beds were unpacked. I quickly chose the room with one of my closest girlfriends, then headed down to the living room to chill for the evening. The living room had a small wood stove, some ancient rocking chairs, and an old dusty couch, which sat against the staircase leading upstairs. Basically, the stairs were right behind the couch, so at the bottom of the stairs you could reach through the rungs of the railing and touch the couch. I was sitting on the couch when my friend Aiden started making a fire on the wood stove. We were chatting nonchalantly about nothing real important. He finished lighting the fire and sat on one of the rocking chairs across from me. Our conversation continued as we wondered what would be in store for us over the next few days at camp. Then something I cannot explain happened. As I sat down on the couch, I felt something touch the top of my head. It felt like someone put their hand directly on top of my head. At the same time, I felt a chill go from the top of my head down my spine and through my legs. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. It was honestly the most terrifying feeling I've ever had in my entire life. It wasn't so much that the feeling of the hand on my head was scary, but it was the feeling that came along with it. It was like nothing I've ever experienced before. It was absolutely terrifying, and I was absolutely terrified and frozen in place. I immediately felt cold, even with the heat of the wood stove burning near me. The logical part of me snapped back to reality as I figured one of my housemates was probably just trying to scare me. Knowing I was a horror movie lover and paranormal fan. It would have been easy for someone to stand behind me on the stairs and reach through the rung to touch me. Immediately, I turned around to confront whoever was trying to scare me, but nobody was there. The staircase was completely empty. I felt another chill go through my body as I came to that realization. My friend Aiden kept chatting with me, and I tried to carry on the conversation as if nothing had happened. I didn't want to be that person who claimed to be touched by a ghost within an hour of being in this creepy old house. I figured nobody would believe me anyway and just think I was doing it for attention. Just then, one of my friends descended the staircase, and the stairs creaked and moaned with each step. I then put together in my head that it would have been impossible for someone to sneak down the staircase to scare me without being heard. To this day, I have no explanation for what happened. As I said, I'm a skeptic of the paranormal, but this is an experience I am dumbfounded by. I have told a few spiritual friends about this experience, and they all believe that it was a paranormal encounter. Maybe you can let me know what you think. No words can accurately describe the feeling I got during this encounter, and I've never felt anything like it again. Even with my skepticism, I believe that house is haunted.